Don't. Don't open that box. What have you done? You shouldn't have opened it. You shouldn't have opened it. Opened it. Opened it.
Hello, listening people.
Hello.
You're listening to Spit and Polish Presents The Mystery Box. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Sawinski.
And I am Bartek.
Hello, Bartek. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm very well. We're spitting Polish, likingly, because we're always spitting, and we both happen to be Polish, which I've said many times on our Mystery Box show doesn't apply to this specific show, more our weekly show, but for those listening, you're like, Bartek, Ryan, are those Polish names? The answer is yes.
Bartek and Ryan?
Well, Ryan, because I'm Polish, so it means it is now. Slawinski, definitely. But, we are doing our monthly show, The Mystery Box, the show in which we watch a movie that's completely a mystery to us, a movie that has been found secondhand, or a video project or thing that we've found secondhand at op shops, or the gutter, or, a ghost left it in our house, and we put it in this box, wrap them up, and we get a guest to choose the DVD, video project, movie thing at random. We sit down and watch it, and then we talk about what we found.
Yes.
Yeah?
And in this episode, we had a returning DVD case. Now, on this show, sometimes the DVDs that we put into the mystery box have multiple video projects on them, and typically we only watch one of them for each episode. And we watch whichever one is the default option when you put the disc in.
Yeah.
So a couple of episodes ago, I think it might have been November. I might be wrong. I'm just pulling that in my head.
It was January.
January? Oh, it was after
Start
Christmas.
of the year.
Yeah. Okay, so January, we did a film called Space Fury, and that was in a DVD box with another film that we talked about a little bit in that episode, because we thought that that's what we were going to watch, because the cover made it more prominent, but on the DVD itself, it was the second option, so we didn't watch it. And that movie is Alien Intruder.
Yes, we watched Alien Intruder, but we had to have a guest to come to my house to open the box and put their hand in and pick it. So who do we have with us this episode? Who is here to blame for picking Alien Intruder?
Well, speaking of January, Ryan, the first ever January episode of the Mystery Box featured a guest by the name of Rhys McKenzie for the film.
Too bad they couldn't join us. We are joined
That's not the name
instead
of the
by
film.
Larry Miller.
Keeping Up with the Steins. And that guest was Rhys McKenzie, and the guest in this episode is Mies McKenzie.
Hello, Mies McKenzie.
What?
Hello.
Rhys McKenzie.
Yeah,
okay.
the doppelganger of Rhys McKenzie.
Mies McKenzie.
Mies McKenzie from the Mirror Universe.
I am here to do a podcast without saying anything stupid throughout this whole podcast.
Wow, he's already started strong. So, Rhys, you came here this morning.
I came here, yes.
You picked from the box.
I picked from the box. I had a very specific method of choosing this.
Yes, you did.
Oh,
you
you did?
did a bunch of counting.
Yes.
He counted them.
I was behind him.
And then he twiddled his fingers about and hummed and hawed, and he looked at each one individually, even though they wrapped, and going, He put them on a scale to weigh them.
Did he taste them?
Not that specific.
He's not that specific. He threw them in the air to see how high they could go.
So Rhys is very big, so the fact that I was behind him meant that I didn't see any of this.
Nah.
And Bartek's very small.
My actual method was count 7 down from the row, and then count 7 back. And then there were 2 DVDs left that I didn't count, so I did eeny, meeny, miny, mo between those 2. And then Alien Intruder won.
In the deepest regions of uncharted space, there exists a danger more lethal than any being known on Earth. It turns man against man. It terminates without conscience. No remorse, worse than a machine. Its name, Ariel.
Now, I'm the one who found Alien Intruder.
Congratulations.
I have a history with this other than we did it on the show already with Space Fury, which is my father,
Yeah. It was
back
an
in my
interesting
hometown,
story.
owns this double feature. And I remember it sitting prominently in my family's DVD collection, and it was one of those ones where it just goes, oh, you just sigh looking at it. Because my dad likes anything sci-fi, so he picks up literally anything. Doesn't matter if it's good or not. And he's the kind of guy who's just like, oh, well, you know, it was good, it was sci-fi. And, like, it's good enough for him. Like, anything's good. Like, you know how people today have, like, YouTube channels and podcasts like us and all that, where they're like, well, today we're doing the top 10 reasons why Prometheus is the most underrated sci-fi film of all time. Or, we're doing top 10 reasons why Prometheus is the worst sci-fi film ever made. My dad would be like, oh, well, it was in space at some point. So, you know, it was okay. Aliens were there, so, you know, it was a good movie. No problems. It was sci-fi. That's my dad.
That's
he's
your
just
dad.
like, oh, sci-fi. Yeah, I mean, sure, Charlize Theron could have run to the left, but, you know, sci-fi. It was set in space.
Your dad sounds like a very nervous lawyer, essentially.
Hey, it's me, Gil, from The Simpsons.
Hey, could you give Gil a break?
I don't know if you were using flowery language, but when you said it's in the DVD collection, you said it's sitting prominently. Is there something like
Well,
that
no,
sticks
I
out
say,
about it?
well, it's because it's trash and amongst real movies.
Right.
So you have, like, real movies like The Aliens, The Terminators, Moon, and then
So
this.
it's prominent in that it sticks out like a sore thumb.
So the reason that this got picked from me from Nop Shop was I was like, oh yeah, this looks like trash, and then I was like, oh yeah, I know this trash, but I've never watched this trash. The cover on the front of this DVD is amazing because it's a still image from the movie that is obscured by the little poster for Space Fury, so we don't even get the full of it, but it's Alien Intruder, and Alien's written like with like alien in green, but in between the letters they have like IN for intruder in between the A and the L, and then TR and so on and so forth, but that intruder's in white. So it's like, do I read it like Ain Intruder?
I didn't look at the cover before we
And
watched
then
it, so yeah.
and then it's all green because sci-fi, and it has actors' names. Billy D. Williams is top listed. Ooh la la.
Oh,
Landau himself or Commissioner Gordon. Oh, no, not Commissioner
Is it
Gordon.
Lando or Lando?
Lando.
Landau.
I think it's Lando.
Martin Landau. Everybody.
Martin Lawrence.
Lawrence Landau. Lando Calrissian, and then you also, not Commissioner Gordon, Harvey Dent. He was Harvey Dent, remember?
Mr. Dent, what do you think of the theory that the mysterious Batman is a mob enforcer killing these people?
I don't have any comment, no.
And then Jeff Conaway, who is Kaneki. But then you're going, wait a moment, do they have any other Grease movie stars in this? Yeah, they do. Max Caulfield from Grease 2.
Hooray.
And then it has the great tagline, which is the funniest part of the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
In the year 2022, so we're not too far away, guys, from that year, by the way. In the year 2022, we make contact... ... Too bad! In all caps, with an exclamation mark.
We laughed about that back in the Space Fury episode. We laughed about it before we watched this.
But guys, what's the still image from the movie? While it's an inconsequential character, that's an android who stepped on an electrical field and it's made his robot face emerge from his eye socket, and it looks like it's Billy D. Williams, but it's not. Even though the actor in the movie that plays the android is white, in this specific shot, he looks like a black man. To confuse you to think it's Billy D. Williams.
Yeah,
who is,
you're right.
Who is a black man.
Yeah.
So you're looking at the cover and goes, well, I guess Billy D. Williams is a cyborg. And then the back image, though, the back of the DVD has the real poster for what would be the real movie. Reese, could you describe Alien Intruder's real poster that you would see in a video store?
So you have like a lot of space imagery, but the main thing you notice is Billy D. Williams' face takes up a nice majority of the poster.
Which indicates he's in the movie a lot.
Yes. And then you
Which
have
he is.
Maxwell Caulfield
The Maxwell Caulfield?
with a flamethrower,
Which he does not wield
which
in
he
the
doesn't
movie.
use.
Yeah, he doesn't.
And then you have Tracy Scoggins.
Scoggins.
Who's
a lady.
Who is a lady in the movie, and she's laying in a very
Well, she's a titular character, right?
She's sitting in a very sexual position in the
Yeah,
post.
she's sexy there.
She doesn't do anything sexual in the film, so why is she in that position?
Yeah, it's weird.
You know, all this sizzle and burn is making me hot. You feeling horny, Mormon baby?
Reese, having not had any history with this at all, when Alien Intruder got popped in, you saw the cover, all this stuff, what were you thinking you were going to get? You know, did you think, ooh, sci-fi adventure horror? Like, what were you thinking?
I was judging by the cover and the DVD menu, I was expecting, which is fantastic, by the way. I was expecting like at least an Alien ripoff. So
yeah.
I was expecting.
What part of that made you think that? Was it Alien in the title?
Like the way, if you could look at like the way they've designed like the title of Alien Intruder, that's so like
ripping off Alien.
Sigourney Weaver Alien ripoff, so bad. So I'm thinking this is going to be set on a spaceship. Things are going to go wrong.
I mean,
someone's going to be chased.
That does happen, though.
It does happen.
All those things happen in the first 5 minutes.
In the first 5 minutes, but
And
first
also-
5 minutes,
And then also it happens in the last 5 minutes.
it's a cycle.
It is a cycle. So yeah, I was expecting pretty much misery, and I got it. Like, not the Stephen King short story Misery, but like the feeling.
You were completely broken by this film, by the way.
I was broken before we even started. I was like, my expectations are low, and they were not low enough.
Yeah, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is one of the times where you saw what was picked and you were like, "Oh, fuck you," or something like that.
Yeah,
like you had a reaction as soon as you
it's
saw
also
it.
because, bit of context behind the scenes, we had just filled up the mystery box again with new DVDs, so it was kind of like, maybe, you know, we'll most likely pick new ones, and then it was like, oh, this old one's back again. And I was kind of excited for one particular one of the new ones that we've got, but I want to spoil that. But like,
in my head, I was actually thinking like, oh, I kind of want to get through all the old ones first.
I know, I'm a bit like that too. But then there's also stuff like this where I was like, I hope that we never get this.
But we did.
But we did. Thanks, Reese. So the movie begins with letting us know that Jeff Conaway, who is in the movie, otherwise known as Kaniki, but you know, he was a great actor. Like, I've been rewatching Babylon 5, and he's in that as like a prominent character, and he was great. But in this movie, it opens up with all the credits, and it says special guest star.
Yeah, special guest appearance, I think it
was. Yeah, guest appearance, Jeff Conaway, and it was like, is this a TV show? And we did know that indicates he won't be in the movie very long. And then it did, and Billy D. Williams as Commander Skylar. And I was like, ooh, Billy D. might not be in the movie very long either, because when we did Space Fury, they had a person who was like, and such as General such and such. And they were like in it for one scene.
Yeah.
So it was very low. The movie opens up with just straight into action on this spaceship that's in some deep section of space that we later find out is in Sector G.
Sector G.
I just ran a projection. You're taking us into G sector.
You got a problem with that?
Yeah. I like staying alive.
And it's a spaceship model, which I actually kind of appreciated that they had models of things. Like it was kind of neat. Like, I don't remember if Space Fury had models. I thought they were like...
No, I think they just had... Because there were outside shots where they were interacting with it.
Yeah,
but I thought it was cute to see little models of spaceships. I kind of appreciated that.
Did you like it spinning?
It was just spinning in a circular motion.
In a perfect circular motion.
In space.
In space, yes.
Yeah.
It was so weird, and we didn't know why it was spinning in that motion, and we never find out why.
Yeah, we don't.
I guess
For
that's
the rest
part
of
of
the
the
film-
self-destruct sequence, I guess.
Like later in the film.
I would love a sci-fi movie that's like self-destruct sequence engaged, and this ship just spins around, and how it self-destructs is it spins so hard it falls apart. That
They
would
should
be
remake.
great.
If they remake this film and they have the spinning, they should have everyone like tumbling during.
Oh,
the
if they
action scene.
remade this film. It's a
very big if.
I would kill myself.
They can't make it worse, can they?
Starring Billy D. Williams.
Again, as Billy D is in it, but he's the alien intruder, the sexy lady. But the beginning of the movie is just action.
Yeah, it's chaos.
Reese
in
was
the forefront.
commenting that the sets look nice, and I said, no, they don't. They just look like some industrial warehouse that they've filmed in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they proceeded to show me that I was right the entire time.
But as the film went on, was it the best set?
I mean, it wasn't a set necessarily. It was just a warehouse with some some smog.
Was it the best filming location?
It had light.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. But Reese you were really thrilled by the action sequence at the start. You were like,
I'll
you were
explain
going,
myself.
ooh, and people getting shot. A guy got hit with a flamethrower. I mean, very lightly hit with a flamethrower, I might add. He didn't get like fully entrenched in the flames.
I'll explain my excitement in this term. Like, the warehouse scene, when Ryan pointed at that, it looked like it was in a warehouse.
Which it
was. I was like, it's kind of shit now. But
Ryan, you make things shit.
Great. I just tell the truth.
No, I'm not saying you made it shit. But
I made you realize
yeah,
the truth.
It was shit.
Truth is out there.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
So, like, he's in the hallway. That's probably the best set I've seen. Like, the hallway scene was the best, probably, set I've seen.
And it doesn't help that he was the best actor in the movie.
Probably.
Like, we didn't get much of him, but he had character.
Especially for, like, no context action scene right after the opening credits.
We understood what his character was like.
Yeah.
But go on, Reese. You were excited,
That's it.
thrilled by the fact that he shot some people.
But that's it.
Wasn't there a shot where, like, he shot... well, they weren't shooting bullets, were they? They were shooting, like...
No, some
shooting-
of them were shooting bullets, some of them were shooting lasers.
Yeah,
and
like,
little electricity
like laser
balls.
bullets, not like laser...
Well,
beam.
like, lasers would be safer on a ship like that.
I guess. But you were asking if he shot lasers?
He shot someone with his gun of whatever sort he was using, and wasn't there, like, a camera point of view of the bullet as it went into his head?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was great. And then they proceeded to reuse that footage again and again. My favorite part was just to skip through. Is Jeff Conaway's hunting down this... No. Jeff Conaway's being hunted down by this guy. And the guy hears this robot voice that sounds like exactly like a character out of Red Dwarf. A vending machine character in Red Dwarf, which... what was talking? A vending machine in this, where it's like, you want a hot dog? I got a hot dog for you. And the guy proceeds to run in there and shoot everywhere, thinking that that's Jeff Conaway. And then Jeff Conaway just jumps off from the roof behind him and shoots him. And it was just so
confused.
amazing.
That was so confusing, that scene. Like, what is that voice? What is it
Especially
doing?
because...
Well, it's like a robot vending machine. Like,
Yeah.
it's, like I've seen that concept done before, like in Red Dwarf, but it was just like, okay, this is so, like, stupid. We didn't even talk about the most important part of this whole sequence.
I'm trying to get to it, yeah.
Which is...
The screw?
The screw.
The screw.
Forget everything that happened in this whole sequence. Jeff Conaway eventually wins and kills everyone and kills himself. Forget all that, because none of that matters. Because Jeff Conaway finds a screw. Screw!
It's on the ground, right?
Well, through the visual language of film, they show Jeff Conaway standing next to this giant crate. And he peers his head over the crate. And he's looking over the crate like he's looking beyond the crate to the floor. The camera cuts to what could be perceived visually through the visual language of film, a POV shot, a point of view shot of Jeff Conaway. And it's a screw that looks like it's on the ground, and the way the camera is angled, it looks like it's a bit of a distance, like it could be like a meter or two away. But then it cuts back to Jeff Conaway, and the screw is like within
on the crate.
hands reach.
Yeah, hands reach.
Not even arm's reach, on the crate. And it's like, what? And I was so befuddled by that. Like, I rewound that. I'm like, what the fuck? I thought that was on the ground.
That is terrible.
Because
like...
I think it flew by maybe you or you, Bartek, as well, you guys. But I was like, what the fuck? Like, I had to rewind it because I was like, I'm gonna be pedantic, but this is just already a sign of things to come.
Yeah, it usually takes us quite a while before we have to pause and rewind.
And then the rest of the scene happens, and like Jeff Conaway finds a guy in a control room typing on a keyboard, and it's Sci-Fi because the keyboard's like upright, like it's not on the table, it's up and like he's typing like it's like in front of him, like not on the table but in the air because it's Sci-Fi. And then Jeff Conaway just kills him. Tracy Scoggins comes in wearing a sexy red outfit and smoking from the cigarette holder. That means she's bad.
Femme fatale.
She's a femme fatale. Reese, did you know she was bad?
Of course.
From that?
Of course. She was like...
Wearing
like,
red?
We're wearing red.
I didn't know she was evil from wearing red. She was just like standing there being like...
And the whole premise is like Jeff Conaway's gone crazy because he thinks he's going to marry her, so he's killed all the rest of the crew so that no one else can marry her. And then he realizes what he's done and shoots himself. And you get a nice POV shot of the
his
gun
mouth
going into his mouth.
Of his mouth.
And it looked like a home video of a dentist. Like, it's so stupid. And he shoots himself, and then it's just like black. and then
Like his mouth.
and then you hear that ding 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 as text comes across the screen on the bottom in the left-hand corner telling you what year it is and location, and you're like, oh, okay. It's 2022.
New York City.
Was it New York?
Was it?
It was New York, yeah.
I'll take your word for it because I literally couldn't care.
We'll have fucking day.
I'm just going to say this straight off the bat. There's not much to talk about in this movie because all you have is the opening sequence, them in prison, and then basically nothing happens, and then the end of the movie. I tell a lie, you have VR sequences that do nothing, and then you have the end of the movie. Nothing else. So do tell us about this prison.
Well, to be fair, some of the VR sequences give us daytime scenes, so that's something, I guess.
Poorly shot daytime scenes, but give us this lovely prison.
So the whole point of this prison sequence is to introduce us to our main heroes, I say in quotes.
Yeah.
Which there's 5 of them. There's Billy D. Williams as Commander Skylar. I think he was Commander.
He was Commander.
He is from the organization that had the whole mission that spaceship was a part of.
We find that out later.
Yes. And he is looking for new crew members to go on a follow-up mission because that mission was a failure.
Yeah, they need to save them.
And the people that he wants to recruit are all prisoners because they, in quotes, all have a skill that they can bring on the mission that will be helpful.
Skills,
yeah.
So the first person he recruits is Maxwell Caulfield, whose name is Nick.
What was his last name?
Mancuso.
Which I often referred to him as Cusco. I was like, please call him Cusco.
Cusco.
I was waiting for a bit near the end. Spoiler alert, Billy D goes crazy. Where Billy D is chasing him around, and I just wanted to be like, Cusco! And then it's just David Spade being like, jazz hands. It's like, it's me!
It's a cross between Couscous and Clouseau.
Yeah, it's Emperor's New Alien Intruder. That's what it should have been called. But you were saying...
And we're introduced to him in his cell, which the cells in this prison are behind lasers.
Yeah.
Laser bars.
He's fighting his roommates.
Yeah.
And I believe his skill was that he's a navigator.
He's the best navigator. He's in the 1 percentile.
Yes, he's the best navigator.
I was thinking if I had notes, I would have written down just for my own amusement that he's in the 1 percentile of being in navigators. Like, you know, the 99% are really good, and then there's that 1 percentile that is shit house. We need the 1% navigator.
The 1% unacceptable.
Yeah, the 1% that are rejected from the Space Corps. Yeah.
And from what I recall, he has like some attitude to it, but Billy D. Williams
he was in prison because he was mutineer because his previous captain went crazy, which serves later into the movie because Billy D. goes crazy, and he's just like, there's a problem with me and authority figures.
That's right. That's what I was thinking of.
Good Maxwell.
That's his character arc, by the way. I told you in 1 sentence.
Yep. The next person he recruits is, I think his name was DJ. He's the obviously nerdy one of the group.
Yeah, I mean, he hacked into, I think, what their equivalent of the Pentagon is.
Yep, and he wears glasses, so we know he's the nerdy one.
Yeah, and he's literally typing on a laptop. Why does he have a laptop in a prison for which he was sent there for using computers?
And the lighting...
Like in the movie Hackers, one of the worst movies ever in terms of hacking, at the beginning of that movie, the kid hacks into the government and he's banned from using computers until he's 21. And he's never allowed to use computers. Then the movie happens and he turns 21 and he starts using computers. This movie is like, you're going to prison for life for hacking. Here, have a laptop with a connection to the internet. What?
Consolation, I guess.
You've been a good boy. Here, have the... It's like saying, hey, you're a cannibal. No more eating people. Here, I'll leave you with this dead body that's freshly covered in barbecue sauce. Eat it. And then, like, I don't get it.
Have a computer and have the best lit cell.
Yeah, exactly.
The third person is the one that is the most contentious amongst us.
Ah, yes, Peter.
Peter is his name.
As Ryan calls him, long-haired dude.
Well, he's the one with long hair. So
yeah.
It matters because he combs it later, like an idiot.
He brushes it.
It was a comb, I thought.
Was it? Oh,
yeah.
I thought it was a hairbrush. Anyway.
It was both, probably.
Peter is in prison for life because he was drunk driving, and I think...
He killed a whole family on a highway.
Yeah, he killed a whole family on a highway.
And his special skill is?
And the last person...
No, before we skip Peter...
I know, I won't skip him, but...
He has no skill.
That was my
point. We never
yeah.
establish a skill. But what we do establish in that scene is they remove the laser bars and then they walk away. But in the scene, you can see behind Peter is someone else sleeping on a bunk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, could they have just walked out? Because they just walked away. Like,
did they even tell Peter where to go?
They're just like, they don't say anything. They're just like, okay, you're in, and then laser bars go down. It's like, could the other guy be like, well, I guess I'm in too, and then just leaves?
But yeah, basically leaving the door unlocked.
I would have loved that kind of sequence in this movie, where there's a little gag, because there was no humor in this.
And then it cuts to, there's a fourth person, but it cuts to the outside of the prison.
Oh yeah, in between all this, they have been intercutting between the other guy escaping.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, they were doing that from the beginning, but it didn't matter.
Yeah, so the fourth guy is this big, muscly guy called Lloyd.
I'm glad you remembered his name.
I remember because you made a point of it.
And you forgot it already?
Can you remember this movie?
No.
Good.
I remember the characters' names.
You didn't even know the main character's name was Nick.
Because I knew his name was... they kept calling him Mancuso, so I thought his
name was Mancuso.
This white British guy, yeah.
I mean, it's what they were calling him, and he was American in the film, wasn't he?
Yeah, I know, but he's a white British guy in real life.
Yeah, I know.
So, fourth guy is running from explosions outside.
Yeah, he climbs down the wall, and then as soon as he gets down there, he, runs right into a prison guard. But then you can see the shadow of
Billy D. Williams
and the woman who he's with. For that just one
that evil
scene.
Just that
for that sequence.
Yeah.
For that sequence, he's trying to escape from the prison, right? And he gets outside,
yeah,
right? And he's jumping down, and you see all these mini explosions to represent bullets. You do not see one guard chasing him.
Oh no, they're in towers. It's a prison. They're in the prison towers shooting at him.
They didn't even establish that.
It's because they don't have money, Reese.
Yeah, but how are we supposed to know?
Because you're supposed to understand how prisons work.
Yeah, but not this prison.
You're right, you got me there, Reese. Hand tied on that one.
And you know, pride makes me so horny.
Oh my god.
That whole sequence is all
Yes.
about, like Bartek says, he's recruiting them for this mission.
Yes, to rescue.
And in this recruitment moment, we, the audience, don't fully understand what the mission is that they're being recruited for.
Yes.
But thankfully, they have one scene in which they're in the Black Void room. Yeah. Very similar to Space Fury, by the way, which also had a room that's just a black void.
It was like a board meeting room. Yeah.
In a meeting room. But at least in Space Fury, they were lit when they were in the room.
Yeah, and
in this, they had no lighting because they could only afford one wall. Reese, could you tell us what happens in this conference and basically what is the premise of what they're going to do for the rest of this movie?
That's a genuine question. Can you remember?
Can you?
Should I have the safe answer or not the not safe answer?
Well, I don't know what that entails. I don't know what that entails. Will your safe answer be, here's the plot, and the non-safe answer is, here's what I think the plot was?
Here's the plot, but while I do a deep stunt.
The safe answer is no, I don't have a clue what that scene was about. The not safe answer is I do.
It was the one where they had the screen in the Aphrodite Project, if that rings a bell.
All right, so my understanding from that scene is that Billy D. Williams gets in front of them when they're sitting at a table. They're not going to assume that they're going to get violent or anything.
Yeah, because they're non-violent criminals except for explosives guy.
And also Maxwell Caulfield was
and the drink driving killed the whole...
Well, that's not like violence. That's drunk and accidental. It's not like the long-haired guys in there for stabbing people to death and wearing their skin or anything. Like,
it wasn't murder.
Like, it wasn't murder. The only person that's really dangerous is Maxwell Caulfield, but, he seemed like he was in that fight because prison's rough, and then explosives guy is pretty physically intimidating, but that's about it. I'd love it if it was the computer guy. If he was the violent one, where he's just like, yeah, I lift weights, and you see him lifting keyboards.
He had that look of like he's the one that would go postal or something.
He's the one that's like Topher Grace in Predators.
Oh, yes. This is an exposition scene, so it's like explaining that there's a ship in an unnamed sector at this point.
The ship's called Holly.
The ship's called Holly.
Which is, again, a character in Red Dwarf, so I don't know if they watched Red Dwarf and stole this.
So they have to go to the ship as a form of rescue, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay, I got that.
There's a distress call.
There's a distress call. And that's the mission.
But why are they motivated to do it?
The Aphrodite program.
Well, there's two things.
Yeah.
There's the Aphrodite program, which is... And this is important. This is like the crux of the movie.
This is a VR.
Well, then we should probably mention what the other motivation is, right? It's just simple.
It's
Their
just
life
pardon.
They get a pardon.
Over.
They get a pardon, and they also get to take part in the Aphrodite program, which is a VR program that allows the prisoners to have like a couple of days in virtual reality.
Just weekends.
Just weekends.
It's called the weekend. You choose your woman, your fantasy. Friday nights at 5 o'clock. You all have the weekend off.
In a simulation program that allows them to have pleasurable times with the women of their choice.
But are they allowed to like make their own programs?
Yes.
So you're allowed to choose your own poison?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Ryan's using exact lines from the movie.
Because I'm a dick. I can remember that.
Well, you'll be editing
I remember characters' names.
Is this an excuse to not edit it in the audio?
The scene is so badly lit. I can't believe it.
They were in a void, but also
void
they
race.
looked like they were in like you know how in movies the only time you have that kind of lighting where it's all shadowy is when you're in like the dark alleyways, or you're in like where the homeless people live in their homeless people town under a bridge.
Concealing someone's identity.
Yeah, or it's shady. That was that scene, but it was like, why is this conference room?
Why is the exposition scene without
in a
mystery?
conference room in a prison not lit? It's so weird. But then we realized it would be the first of many scenes that didn't have lighting. Then we get the old cut to 6 months later bullshit where they're on the spaceship now and the crew are just fucking around for a while, and then they go into their VR simulations, which are in pods.
Yeah, 2 of them already.
I was very confused about that, because usually when you think of a VR simulator thing, you think of like maybe the goggles that you put on, or like a headset that you put on.
Oh, like you'll be physically moving around.
Yeah, you'll be
like,
physically,
while-
or you're in like a holodeck simulation where you're like in a room that has, and this film does establish holograms, and then you're in that kind of thing. But rarely do I think of like, I thought they were in cryo. Or
It
like
did look
stasis
like
tubes,
that,
like
yeah.
it looked like that,
cryo,
and I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, that makes sense. It's space. That's what you do." But then it was like they're in VR, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like I'm not saying that couldn't be a thing. It's just like it's just visually confusing because when you think of VR, you think of certain things like the gloves. You think of like Johnny Mnemonic, where he's got like the VR headset on and the gloves, and he's interacting with things.
One frame of reference I have is in the first series of Yu-Gi-Oh, they did have some virtual world arcs where they were like sitting in seats, but
Yeah.
it wasn't like beds where like they were lying back in like pods.
I thought you were going to
but-
say Assassin's Creed,
Oh, the Animus.
where he's in a bed.
Well, in the first Assassin's Creed, yeah, he was just lying on what looked like an operating table. Then it became like a seat. But then in the movie, it was like this weird...
It was a robot arm.
Harness, robot arm
So
thing.
the big thing is this movie. The only thing this movie relies on is 3 things. We got a spaceship, which is a warehouse. We've got chicks with tits,
Which aren't warehouses.
which aren't always in a warehouse. And then we've got a director who wants to shoot multiple genres of things and needs an excuse to do so.
Was it,
Also,
was it 2 directors or 1 director?
One director.
I would be surprised if there was more. No, there was just one. His name was like something Jacques.
Ricardo Jacques.
Ricardo Jacques Lecure. I don't know.
Lecure. No, I've noticed. Did you
it's
notice
just like the one? And it was just like that's all this movie is. Is 3 things. We got a spaceship, we got chicks with tits, and we've got a director who wants to shoot in multiple genres. How do we do that? Oh, I know. Let's set it on a spaceship with a VR that allows the characters to be in a western, in Casablanca, in a
Biker.
like a Rebel Without a Cause kind of thing, and the beach.
The beach.
The
Which we'll
beach.
get into. And all those things will have chicks with tits.
Yes, incidental nudity.
Yeah, it's very incidental.
That's what the cover says.
And that's all this is. And then the last 5 minutes where it's just the opening sequence again, but with these characters instead.
Yes,
And it's
the new
just
generation of fight scene.
piss poor. Like, I hated this. You have the VR sequences. Of course, you have all these characters. Explosives guy, he's always got a cigar or a stogie
He's
in his
in the
mouth.
Western, yeah.
And he's all like, it's hump day, it's hump day, it's hump day, it's hump day. And he's always
randomly
like...
laughing.
He's always laughing, and he's macho man, and his specialty is explosives, and his dream, or his VR, is the Western. It's the Western setting. And what do we get of the West? him in those old-fashioned bathtubs in a black void, and
his woman of choice next to him, I guess.
And his woman of choice next to him, and then him in the middle of town. And when I say middle of town, you see one building, and it's just dirt. His dream is like, yeah, he has sex. Like, it's like, yep, there's a lady there. She takes her top off. She's got breasts. And then Tracy Scoggins comes in, and she's just
he didn't have sex. He just saw her tits.
He was going to. Then Tracy Scoggins comes in, and he grabs out his gun and is like, what kind of person are you who doesn't knock? And then we realize this is a movie where nobody knocks.
You ought to knock before you barge in on a man with a loaded gun.
Why don't you try knocking sometime, Leo? Just make a fist and hit the door.
You come busting in here on me like that again, Mancuso, and I'll fry your cortex.
Here's the thing that bothers me with this whole VR sequence, right? It's the same scene, rinse and repeat. And you could argue that, yeah, we could have a movie like this, and you could do that, where it's like, okay, we go into this guy's VR sequence to establish that Tracy Scoggins is in this VR sequence, and then she's in this guy's VR sequence, and then she's in this one, and then she's like the threat, right?
Yeah, the common thread throughout
right,
the VR
great,
sequences.
great, cool. But the problem is, it's boring. It's there just to show women with tits that will get them out. But the biggest problem is, you're thinking, oh, great, VR thing. Different genres, cool. This is going to inform us what our characters are like.
Yeah,
the cowboy guy, he's going to be rough and tumble, and then the drink driver guy, he's got the whole Sam Spade, Rick from Casablanca thing going on. Film noir, and then you got the nerd guy is the biker guy, and then you got Maxwell Caulfield is guy on beach. But the problem is, they don't know how to do this, because none of these sequences reflect anything of these characters. You could make it that the cowboy guy could be interchanged with the beach or the motorcycle or the Casablanca, and I would not look at you. I wouldn't look at you in the eye and go, "Wait, no, it makes perfect sense, isn't it?" No, it doesn't matter what sequence any of these characters put themselves in. It's just really lazy.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter that Maxwell Caulfield's on the beach. He could be in the Casablanca one. It doesn't matter because it doesn't reflect his character. All this is there for is to tell the audience Tracy Scoggins is here as a threat, and we have actresses who are willing to get their tops off. And we got a director who wants to shoot different genres because it's fun.
You only notice in the VR, especially, like, he doesn't really like shooting close-ups. He just sticks to the master shot, and that's it.
Oh, yeah, especially at the petrol station and the biker one.
Like, you are literally standing, at least 5 meters away from the action.
The only one he tries is the Casablanca Sam Spade one, where he actually tries to shoot it like those old movies were shot.
Yeah, there was a close-up to her singing.
Yeah, and not just close-ups, but the way the cameras and the way that they kind of blocked it was like, oh, this is like Casablanca, and also that was it.
And also, they did put it in black and white. So,
and they put it in black and white.
So that was trying, yeah.
And they had, like, the French police come in, and it was just this is the middle of the movie. We don't get to know any of these characters.
Hold on, wasn't there a line in one of the prison sequences where, like, it indicated that one of them might have been in World War II or something?
Oh yes. So no, this is actually when they're on the ship. And it's like cowboy guys talking to computer guy, and he was talking about the war and how he served in the war or something, and he was like, and I saved half the prisoners. Like, how come you only saved half of them? Because I was too busy shacking up with my Fräulein. And then he did this whole...
He said something about Berlin, yeah.
And it was just like, what, did they... And then the other guy responded, like, how he was in the war too, or whatever, the computer guy. And I'm like, what the fucking fine World War II? Because he was like, yeah, I was with a Russian double agent. And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah, and it's 80 years after World War II, so...
It's so confusing. What the fuck's going on? Like, it was like World War III was the exact same as World War II. Is that what they're saying? Reese?
Yes.
Because there's really nothing to talk about until we get to the climax moment.
Well, do we not want to talk about the beach and how great it was?
Oh, let me get there a sec. I will ask this question of you and Bartek and myself. Who is your favorite character?
I guess on a... I guess on a, like, just, trigger reaction, I did get some laughs from Lloyd sometimes
Cowboy boy?
Yeah, cowboy guy being a bit like crazy and like just awkward. And Billy D. Williams had some moments where like he looked like he had emotions, like in his last scene.
Sometimes.
But he also said he looked like he had, not like he had emotions.
I don't know it. I don't know
them.
Billy D. Williams.
There was a bit where he put his fingertips to his face.
Yeah, that scene, and also
he had shaked a glass in fear and trepidation. Yeah,
he expressed distress and being upset. So there was that to latch onto. This is not me like giving a deep analysis of why I like these people. It's more like by default I went towards these guys.
Okay, Reese, I asked you. So who's your favorite character in this masterclass of cinema that was Alien?
Ariel also had a character, I guess.
Did she?
Kind
She's
of.
the alien, by the way. That's Tracy Scoggins.
Yeah.
I'll say Ariel.
Really?
She's probably the only thing that brought entertainment in this film.
Is it because she has tits?
No.
Which she conceals, kinda. My favorite, oddly enough, was the computer guy.
DJ?
I liked him because he was useful. Like,
Well,
he actually did something in terms of actually solving problems with his skills.
You brought up something about DJ, though, with, like, how he has an intolerance for people smoking. Yes.
And he tells a joke to the android.
DJ has a little bit of a sense of humor. He knows when to implement it, but he's not... At first, he comes across as the Shane Black character from Predator, where he's telling inappropriate jokes. And I thought, oh god, they're going to do this, but then they didn't do that for the whole movie. He just had little jokes here and there, and it kind of worked. Like, not saying they were funny, but it worked like, okay, cool. He was useful to the plot. He didn't fall for the girl, which I was so thankful for. I thought it was just going to be Maxwell Caulfield that didn't fall for Ariel, but it was also him, and he actually helped. And I like the actor. I think he was the only one that felt like he was playing a character that wasn't over the top in the way that the cowboy guy was, and non-existent like Maxwell Caulfield was.
Yeah.
And Billy D. Williams was just there for a paycheck for me. So it's just like, because I know that, we all know that Billy D. oozes charisma, so he doesn't even need to try. But in this movie, he had no charisma, so I guess he wasn't even trying, so there you go. But like, for me as computer guy, now let's talk about how computer guy didn't like smoking, because there's a scene in which the computer guy is typing away, and what happens?
Lloyd comes along.
Oh, right in front of him?
No.
Oh,
Behind
to
him.
the side. Oh, behind.
Behind.
In front of him would be the
But like
computer, Ryan.
right behind him, like he's like literally like
let's put it this
lurching
way.
over his shoulder.
He's not in his face.
He's not in his face. But
Oh,
there's
but is he at least like a few centimeters away?
No.
Oh, is he like a couple of meters away?
Yeah.
Oh, he is. Okay, go on.
He's basically...
And he's obstructed by a bar? Okay, cool.
He's basically southeast by very heavily south from him.
And there's like a barrier between the two? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, and Lloyd is known for smoking stogies, right?
Yep.
He's smoking one and asks DJ a question, and DJ's like, "Can you not blow smoke in my face, please?"
And we all simultaneously went, He
But
wasn't.
He wasn't. He's behind you.
He's behind you. And he was actually being the actor, I don't know if it was the actor or the character, was even before that trying to be courteous and was blowing it downwards. So it wasn't even like he was trying to be arrogant and blow it in his face, even though we've established that this character is the kind of guy who would do that, because he does that to what is supposed to be a character, the android that's on the ship.
I was about to say, that's the only person he did it to.
Person?
Yeah, well, the only humanoid that he does it to.
Humanoid is still too strong.
It's an objective term. It's not any sort of subjectiveness.
It's an android.
Yeah, but it's got a humanoid shape.
Oh, it's in the shape of humanoid. You got me.
That
there.
That's what
android,
humanoid
beep boop beep.
Got nothing.
Ryan, that's too much dialogue for this character.
It never talks.
This character was just useless.
Well, you forgot it was
rubbish.
there. I was waiting for the bit where the android got like manipulated and tried to kill them. They're like, "Oh shit, the android!"
Yeah.
Because androids are strong. But
one thing.
why was it there?
Earlier in the film, the android's mentioned in like one line, and Ryan immediately picked up on that. It's like, "Oh, there's going to be an android." Then we see the android. Ryan's like, "Oh, there's the android," every time the android appeared, Ryan pointed out, it made me also think, like, okay, yeah, it's going to have
Why
a point.
even establish that there's an android if you're not going to do anything android with it? Like,
why establish it and use it for nothing?
Use it for nothing. It's not like not even that they didn't use it as a threat. It's not like he did anything android related or even had a character. He could have just been Billy D. Williams' right-hand man, and that could have been it. Like, why was an android? There was no scene in which he was like, I'm doing the maths, and he's like sitting there and his eyes are twitching and he's doing the maths in his head or something, from doing the calculations, or they can't open a door and so he opens it because he's an android with strength. Nothing.
From what I recall, the two things he does is, I think he holds something up at one point.
I don't remember that.
I think there's something like inconsequential like that, and also he dies.
Yeah, he dies in the most stupidest way I've ever seen. Like he falls onto a light, like a booby trap or something like that.
Yeah, some electrical trap. It was stupid. To go back to the VR,
yes,
we have Cowboy, we have Casablanca, we have Rebel Without a Cause. All of those three things you could all understand, like, and I'm just simplifying them for movie terms. Like, you just have the Wild West, you have noir, and you have 50s, biker drinking booze in the American sun, and then you have beach, and not like those 1960s surfer beach movies where it's like, yeah, they're doing the go-go dancing on the beach. Just a beach. Not even a nice beach.
Not even a super clean-looking one.
A beach where all the seaweed and crap is washed up on shore.
Like, I made the joke that because it's Maxwell Caulfield, it's going to be like the beach from the beginning of Grease 1, but it's nowhere near
as nice. It's not even a nice beach. And what's Maxwell Caulfield's dream of VR? Jogging on the beach, walking up to his beach mansion, his girlfriend's in the shower naked having a shower, she hops out and he goes, nice. And then he has a shower, then he goes back down to the beach to do some more jogging, and she's up there being like, I'm going to wait for you, and he's like, sure thing.
And he sees
Tracy Scoggin in the water, and then end.
Oh yeah, we've got to mention...
It's just so and none of it's lit.
And we've got a disclaimer for our listening people. We missed a minute and a half of the film noir sequence because something's wrong with the disc.
Because it's a secondhand copy, and like none of it's lit. Like no, none of the beach sequence is lit. Like Cowboy one is the noir one clearly is, and even the biker one, even though it's natural sunlight or whatever, it's lit. The beach sequence looks like garbage. You can barely see what's going on.
Cloudy day and approaching sunset kind of thing.
And then when you're indoors, they don't have any lights on inside, and it's like all shadows and misery. It just looks like Son of Soul.
Yeah, and the colors are dark too, yeah.
It's so miserable. But
pale.
Reese, Ariel, you established, is your favorite.
Yes.
She's in all of these sequences. We do get a repetition of them visiting their VR sequences, and Ariel's in them more, and we find out that Billy D knows who she is. But do tell us, who is Ariel? Because she's your favorite after all. Is she the alien intruder? What is she? What's her grand purpose?
Okay. I'm just laughing because I need to think of a logical explanation for this.
Go on.
Okay.
In some horror films, is it not a thing that like you don't get all the answers? Could that have been a thing they were going for?
I think they were trying to give us answers, but
in Alien, that's what they go for. But at least in Alien, you know it's an alien that's there to eat you or kill you. It doesn't even eat; it just kills.
It's unambiguously an alien.
It's unambiguously an alien with the purpose of destruction.
Yep.
Go on.
So Ariel you first see her in the first scene with Jeff Conaway, right?
Yeah.
And she's out in the open in the ship, like talking, interacting with him, basically.
She's got a personality.
She's got a personality.
And at some point, it's established that she can sort of like teleport around.
She
she's
can
like
teleport
next to him at one point, then she's like a few meters behind him.
But when they go into the VR, it's clear enough she can get herself in there and hack into their own fantasies, right? What she wants to do is she wants to seduce these men to make them turn on each other, essentially, like in the first 5 minutes of the film. But it doesn't explain like what she is.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
Oh, Computer Boy said like she's a computer program with DNA. What does that mean?
I think...
And he says it's nothing like we've got on Earth.
And also the seduction, because we said seduction, it wasn't really like a traditional one where it's like, you know, she puts on her sexy wiles and they like fall for her.
The closest we get is Cowboy Guy.
Yeah, it almost feels like in my head, I kept trying to put it to like, you know, VR sci-fi kind of thing, like messing with their heads. But I'm not sure if that's what they were going for or not.
It doesn't explain how she's like in and out of the real world.
Because she's a hologram, apparently.
She's a
hologram. Because Maxwell Caulfield says, "You holographic bitch." But how does he know that?
Yeah, why weren't we told about that?
Yeah, like part of me was thinking, like, is she like a crazy vision of theirs? But then the whole real world thing.
But then she doesn't physically interact with any object. Like, she never lifts anything.
No, she hands something to Lloyd at one point shortly before he dies, remember?
Yeah, but then that could... But it's also annoying because you could be... He is grabbing that himself, right? Because we don't know. Because, what I'm saying is, she never punches someone, say, or throws them, or does anything that could be something that the person couldn't do themselves.
Yeah, like
her passing them something could easily be them grabbing it themselves. Like, it's hard to know what is happening because they just closest we get is Maxwell Caulfield saying, "You holographic bitch."
So unreliable camera perspective kind of thing.
Yeah, like unreliable, just unreliable everything.
Right.
Because here's my thing: she's the alien intruder. Yeah. She has a plan.
Yeah.
What's her plan, Reese?
Oh, it was explained. It was explained by eventually. So her plan is to kill all mankind or something like that.
To kill all the fleet.
To kill all the fleet.
And how's she going to do that?
She'll kill all the men on the ship, and that'll prompt back home for them to send another rescue mission and another rescue mission, and then she kills them. And
rinse and repeat, right?
Rinse and repeat.
And not always kill. She might leave one.
She might leave one to go back to get, which was our favorite, Bartek's favorite actor, Billy D. Williams.
Yeah, we find out that Billy D. was on the first ever ship. And the ship at the beginning of the movie was the second ship going after his ship.
Was it established that he'd done VR on that mission?
No.
Okay.
It was just established that he was on the escape pod with her. And that's what we get with the ending of this movie on a level. But we'll get into that later.
If we can somehow establish that Billy D. Williams and Jeff Conaway had done the VR, that could be like a common link.
But we never know.
The film gives us nothing like
My
that.
question is this.
Mm-hmm.
How did she get into the VR?
I don't know.
If she's an alien in the universe of like she's floating about in space, how did she get into how is she an alien in space if she's a hologram? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if she's like an alien that's floating around in space and she meets Billy D. Williams' ship, say that ship had the VR. How did she get in that? Or how did she get in this ship that we're following's VR system if she's an alien that floats about in space? How is she a hologram and an alien? Because holograms aren't aliens.
Do they actually say the word alien in the film?
No.
No, I think the closest you get is the computer guy is like, it's nothing, it's not human.
Would this movie have been better if you called it Intruder instead of Alien Intruder?
Holographic Intruder?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Be more accurate. I don't think it snaps off the... What's the term?
I mean, titles don't have to be accurate. I mean, Predator's not an accurate title of what that movie is, considering he's a hunter. Necessarily.
I haven't seen Predator, but isn't that what they call... Isn't that just the name of the species of the killing thing?
That's just what they call it.
Oh, okay.
They call it it, essentially.
They call it a predator, but technically it's more of just a game hunter. Like, it's not like a predator, like a animal hunting for food. It's a glorified trophy hunter.
Right.
So it doesn't make sense. But that doesn't matter because the movie's great.
Mm-hmm.
This movie is muddled and confusing. They repeat scenes. The biggest confusion is this. We understand on a level that she's seducing these guys to turn against themselves and kill themselves or kill each other. We understand why the cowboy guy could get seduced because she actually has sex with him.
Mm-hmm.
Maxwell Caulfield, she tries to have sex with him, but it isn't successful. We'll get into that. But then we get the computer guy. She scares the computer guy, so that's why it makes sense the computer guy is not into her. But the most befuddling one out of all of them is long-haired dude, who falls madly in love with her, when in his VR sequences, she's just a singer in the background that he barely notices. And he never interacts with one-on-one. The movie is just dark. They walk around. Billy D. Williams is watching their VR sequences and having very, very great reaction shots.
Yeah, like every time...
He's like shaking, like, oh, puts his fingertips to his face, like, oh no.
Where's Ariel?
Every time he sees Ariel, he freaks out a bit.
Because he's in love with Ariel. He's the Jeff Conaway of the ship. He's going to kill them all. And let's talk about the beach rape scene. Because there's nothing else to talk about in the middle section.
Well, there was one line that we kind of had a fun joke about. There, Lloyd was talking to, I think, all three of them in the dining room or something like that on the ship.
Hump day?
It's hump day, boys. Hump diggity dog day.
Probably hump day.
Hump day.
But no, the line that I'm talking about is he talks about, like, oh, I want to take you guys to a bar. They'll have the nudest chicks that you've ever seen.
Yeah, the most
like
nakedest chicks you've ever seen.
And we were just arguing like, oh, well, so what's more naked than just plain old naked? We're like arguing like, oh, maybe they're skeletons.
And I said molecules.
I just said they put like a patch on their elbows, and that's like, oh, they're mostly naked.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right. Not most naked, mostly naked.
They have the beach house again for Maxwell Caulfield
this
he...
Part 2 of the beach VR. Yep.
I do just want to ask Reese this, since he's such a keen observer. Reese?
Yes?
Does Maxwell Caulfield have a character? Or is he just Guy?
Like, as in, like...
Does he have a character? Like, what is his character? Don't tell me his name, tell me what his character is. Don't tell me his occupation, tell me what his character is.
He has a problem with authority.
When did he ever show that? In the movie.
Then we just say it in his backstory.
Yeah, in his backstory, but that's not showing it, that's just telling it.
Oh, you want me to see?
There are parts where he and Billy D. Williams have disagreements. Like, he's the navigator, but Billy D. Williams does some navigational stuff without talking to him.
Right.
And there are times where I think Billy D. Williams evicts him from the navigate. Maybe I'm making that up, but...
All he does is question things, but he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, and he gets annoyed by it.
But he doesn't do anything. He doesn't have a character. So we're watching him as a main character be strapped to a bed. But before he's strapped to his beach house bed, we find out that the bikini-clad babe is dead because Tracy Scoggins choked her to death with her own bikini top.
Yeah, the beginning of the second beach VR sequence is her dead body on the beach. Her breasts are exposed, and you'll notice that she was wearing yellow bikini.
Yeah.
The bikini top is around her neck, and I think Rachel was the one pointed out, maybe she got strangled.
Oh yeah, my fiance was like, oh, she got strangled to death. And I'm like, yep. That's what the visual language tells us.
Yeah, that's you said it in different words, but yeah, that's the only conclusion you can reach based on what you're shown.
And then we cut to the inside of the beach house, and Bartek, lead us down the path of why this scene is possibly the worst thing we've ever watched on the show.
Yeah, it's not even for really offensive reasons.
No.
It's because
I can, like, just to clarify, this is a semi-rape sequence kind of thing, but it's actually one of the few times on this show, including a mystery weekly show, in which we've had a rape-esque sequence actually kind of be okay to actually place in the movie because the villainous character is villainous.
Yeah,
it works in that regard, and it doesn't fulfill itself. Like, she doesn't actually get to rape him. She wants to. Yeah. But she doesn't get to. But tell us why this scene is one of the worst.
Yep, so on the cover it says moderate sex scene, and I don't think there really was one in Space Fury. That was very hidden behind
this
weird
had more of the sex scenes in it.
This would be, I guess, the moderate sex scene, but it's lit. It's completely dark, so you don't really get to see anything. We actually... I don't know if this was established or if I only noticed it when it was shown in a close-up that Maxwell Caulfield is blindfolded.
We couldn't tell that.
Yeah, okay, thanks for confirming that. He's blindfolded. He actually thinks that he's having sex with the bikini girl that he's supposedly in a relationship with in the sequence.
But then she starts getting rough.
She starts being rough.
And he realizes he's tied down.
He realizes he's tied down. She lifts the blindfold and he realizes you're not her, and that's our indication, like, oh, he was blindfolded, and also he thought that she was someone else. And
this scene is dark in the way that they've got natural light behind the bed because they've got these big windows that shows you the beach. But they've just got no lighting inside. Like, it's just, like, no, like, interior lighting. Like, not, like, even just in terms of filming where they don't have, like, just some lights thing around. But they don't even have the light on that's in the house on. So it's just, like, it's not, like, dark in just the sense of, like, early in the film we're on a spaceship and you expect, oh, darkness in terms of that. But this is dark in terms of if you were an amateur that's filming on YouTube and you don't turn any of your lights on in your house when you're doing a vlog, and it's just kind of in
like
shadow.
On a cloudy day,
and it's just
approaching sunset.
And tell us more.
Yeah, it's this weird. It just keeps going, and it's like he's technically getting raped in this VR situation, but he's not really reacting that much to it.
But well, his body is saying yes, but his eyes are saying no.
That's what she said. Yeah.
Which are part of his body.
And later on, when they're having the discussion around the dining table, and they're all having, they're all sharing the thing, like, oh, it was crazy. She invaded our things. That's crazy. He was the one specifically that said, guys, it was VR. It wasn't real.
Yeah.
So clearly he wasn't bothered by it.
Because that's his character, I guess. He's just not bothered. Can we talk about the theory that I had, or what I think is the correct thing, of why it was dark? Do you remember what I was saying, guys, when we had the sequence where she was naked on top of him and it's very dark?
Weren't you saying something along the lines of they can show the breast but they can't show sex or something?
Well, I believe that the actress didn't want to get fully naked in the same way that the other actresses did, because Tracy Scoggins is a somewhat known actress if you know your sci-fi stuff.
And you do.
And I do know. Yeah. So she's just not going to whip him out necessarily for this. You do get to see a little bit, but it kind of looked like it was an accident as well.
Yeah.
Because every time you get, like, it's a faraway shot, like Reese said. No close-ups. You get faraway shots. Silhouettes. You could easily believe that's not her.
You could easily believe she's in a bra.
You could believe she's in a bra or just wearing the tape over the nipples. But then they have close-up shots and where, you can't do that. And conveniently, her forearm and her upper arm are in the way all the time of her boob, except for one instance where the camera deliberately kind of moved a little bit to kind of get that nip shot. And even that, you didn't see her face in that shot. So I believe that the sequence was totally darkened so that they could hide Tracy Scoggins either not being there or her not wanting to show her naked body on screen.
And also having like an excuse to say, oh, we didn't really show the rape scene or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But... And also I just think that they didn't have lighting equipment. Can we talk about the biggest, most enjoyable thing of the movie, which is every single line that Billy D. Williams says is sexual for no apparent reason?
Yeah, there was a lot of innuendo with him.
That was bad.
Like, just all the time.
Yeah, I still want him. You like to blow things, huh? You choose your poison.
I got off 10 seconds before she blew. The G-Sack car.
The movie gets to the thrilling climax, doesn't it, Reese?
It's
where
thrilling.
They find out that, OMG, Billy D. Williams has gone crazy. He actually knew about this alien intruder all along, and he led them out to Sector G to get them killed, basically, so that he could marry the alien
thing.
And that was thrilling. It just repeats the beginning of the movie, where Billy D. Williams is now Jeff Conaway, and he's going around killing people, and, like, you have cowboy guy, he's getting seduced by her, but not really. He doesn't really seem bothered by her. You know? I kept arguing, why didn't she seduce him first? He's, like, the most physically intimidating one, and the one with the access to all the dangerous equipment to kill the others.
I guess the only thing I could say against that is, like, he seems the most
That's exactly. That's why you mentally get to him.
But I feel like that would like almost give him like an excuse to not be fazed by her.
Yeah,
by the same logic.
But at the same time, if it was a good movie, she would go after him first because he's the big unhinged guy with access to extreme explosives and guns.
But also by that logic, you could also probably think that the ex-alcoholic guy, if he even is ex or if he's just not being given any alcohol, might be emotionally sensitive to affection or something like that.
Which we do find out because he combs his hair. because she's gonna marry me. And he combs his hair like a girl.
And like when he's stuck in the room and stuff, like he goes crazy and he just starts combing his hair, and then like there's a point where they're all scattered around doing their own thing, you know, trying to sabotage it, and then like he's still in the room combing his hair, and then eventually
he leaves the room.
He leaves the room, but in the worst way possible. He doesn't go through the door. He goes through the vent.
Yeah. Because they went through the vent. It's so confusing.
And honestly, between the second VR sequence and like the climax of the film, the fight, everything's kind of blurring together. I remember definitely that all four of them have a fight sequence against one of the other ones. Like there was Maxwell Caulfield and Lloyd having a fight, you know, outside the dining room after they were having an argument, and then DJ and Peter have a fight because of music. There was also a thing with a disc at some point. What was that about?
It's the idea is Peter was established as the one who wanted to know if they could make their own programs. He wanted to make his own for his own privacy, and then the alien intruder manifested somehow the disc of the music she sang in his program to make him more sensitive and more prone to killing them because he is a private kind of guy. Mm-hmm. That's the logic. The movie doesn't explain it that well, hence it's confusing. It's that if you just think about it really hard, you can figure it out. But like, this isn't a thinking person's movie.
I'm completely taking your word for this. Yeah.
Same.
The movie just delves into the old, we think we're smart because the beginning and the end of the movie are the same. The old, bookend. Everything's a circle. It's just gonna happen again. Wah, wah. Like Billy D. turns and Jeff Conaway, and then, the cowboy guy's gonna set up the self-destruct button, but then he gets killed. And then, like, you know, everybody gets killed in that warehouse again in the exact same way, even if it doesn't make any sense. Like, computer guy was running up to go to the cockpit area to do some computer stuff, but then somehow he's above Billy D. Williams on, like, outside of the railing.
He's at the ceiling of the warehouse, basically.
And then he gets shot and he falls down and dies. But I did like one thing. He gets shot, he falls off, but then Billy D. Williams shoots him again while he's falling. It was the best part.
Could we just discuss, like, that death was the most ridiculous death out of the whole
ridiculous
movie.
Because, it was...
Why was he there?
Ridiculous in the fact that it made no sense. Not ridiculous in terms of it was the fact that he fell off a high thing and then he got shot. Like, that is ridiculous, but it was just like...
Why was he there?
He was too smart to die like that. Like, it made no sense. And I said this. It only made sense because the creator of this, the writer, had a specific ending in mind, and he just had to get to that ending no matter if it made any sense.
The plain everyman had to be the one to survive,
Yeah, Maxwell Caulfield had to be the one to survive as a sole survivor, and he's going to be the repetition of what happened to Billy D. Williams.
And then you brought up the logic thing of why was the first survivor like a highly ranked crew member and the second one's a prisoner?
Yeah, prisoner who's known for mutiny, which is a crime of treason, which is for execution. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's the dumbest one of them all. Like, it would make more sense if she kept Billy D. Williams somehow alive, but she betrays Billy D. Williams.
Yeah, it's odd.
Because she likes Maxwell Caulfield. And the rest of them just all die. Like, comb-hair guy dies like an idiot, and then he comes back from the dead to give a jump scare to then die again.
That's the thing with this film. It's not really good at jump scares.
Yeah, there was so many failed attempts at jump scares.
You guys kept pointing out the failed attempts, but they just completely didn't faze me at all. I'm like, there was a jump scare.
Like,
that's why they failed.
They go on, like, the Holly, the ship that's buggered up in the first 5 minutes, right? And there's a guy, the dead body that's hanging from, like, it's done like Michael Myers style, like he's hanging from the roof or something.
And he just flops out of nowhere. It's like, wow, how come he flopped? It's been like months. He's been sitting there.
Who put him there?
Yeah, and the movie just proceeds to kill everyone. Billy D. Williams dies in a comical fashion that made us all laugh because he gets shot and he launches into like an electrical grid and then he's like jiggling about. And it's just embarrassing to watch this old man jiggle.
I found his speech before his death really bad. Like, I love you, Ariel. Why we had something really together, Ariel.
Down, yeah.
Ariel, no. Not him, no, me. I love you. Don't. No. Oh, I did it all for you. Don't Can't you see? I love you!
And that's Alien Intruder.
That is
Thanks,
Alien.
Reese, for grabbing Alien Intruder out. I mean, on a level, I'm thankful because I no longer have to worry about it being in there. But at the same time, I'm miserable. This film is a drain on my soul.
Reese wanted you to face your demons now rather than later.
Let's get into the would we recommend this feature film.
Well, we know you will, Ryan, but what about you, Reese?
Yeah, Reese, recommend this?
To film students, yes.
Why?
That was like a bad example.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Bartek?
Nah, not good.
Yeah, no, this is... I even asked Bartek this, and I want you to answer this on the pod itself. Is this the worst thing we've watched for the mystery box, do you think?
I feel like it would be, but it would be between this and Space Fury, because I know that there's definitely, I guess, pros and cons you can say for both of them. With Space Fury, one of the biggest things that I just can't let go of is that it had so much there, so much potential, and it wasted it. So do I go with the logic of so much wasted potential is worse, or do I go with whatever this is, just like not that great film?
Yeah, I think this is probably the worst thing we've watched on the show, and that's including, unfortunately, Rutsukidoji 1 and 2.
I mean, you've defended Rutsukidoji 1 in the context of us watching the second one, so I can at least accept that, but the second one, yeah.
Has nothing going on. Space Fury, I understood what was happening. I didn't like it, but I understood it. There was things I said this to you. There was a bit in the movie of Alien Intruder where I said, Bartek... I said, Reese, bit of context, at this point, when we were watching Space Fury, Bartek and I had laughed several times throughout already. At this point, we had barely chuckled, if anything. We had maybe one or two laugh moments, mainly me saying that, Bartek, you're laughing, and that made us laugh, because it's just like, that's it. This is one of the worst because it's just got nothing going on. It's just production-wise, everything's off and terrible, and I just hate how smug it is. It just thinks it's so fucking clever. And it's just like, it's a waste of everybody's time and talent. The only thing I got enjoyment out of it was that thing where it's like, I love knowing actors and what they're from and connections. So I enjoyed all the sci-fi aspects of terms of these sci-fi actors. Like you get Billy D. Williams, obviously Star Wars and stuff. And then I get the pleasure of seeing two people from Babylon 5, one of my favorite sci-fi shows, turn up in this movie. They don't share much screen time together, but that's kind of interesting. And I don't know when this came out in comparison to Babylon 5, but I'll be very curious to hear. Mm-hmm. And then, also the connection for our podcast, we've got Maxwell Caulfield is in this, he was in Grease 2, which we covered on I Don't Appreciate Masterpieces, and Jeff Conaway's in Grease 1, so that's the only pleasure I got from
He
it.
was also
which
in
is
Empire Records, yeah.
And Maxwell Caulfield's in Empire Records. And, this is the only pleasure I got from it. Now, let's get to the part where we guess what year this movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very keen. Bartek, you know the year this movie came out, but what was your guess before you found out?
My guess was I was aiming more towards the later 90s, so I guessed 1997, I think I said.
Okay, Reese?
To myself.
I said the late 80s. I said 87. 1980s.
Okay. Well, I have that thing in which, like I said, I know some of the actors in this. Mm-hmm. And I know Babylon 5 was in the late 80s, 90s to the mid-90s. So I was looking at this going, Tracy Scoggins looks a little younger than she does in Babylon 5. She comes in the last season of Babylon 5. And Jeff Conaway looks a little younger than he does in Babylon 5 when he comes in season 2.
Aiming
so
the
it's
gun
like,
at the target.
Yeah, and I was thinking maybe 1988.
You didn't hit the bullseye, Ryan. Let me just do the maths to see who's closest.
If it's 2002
No.
Wait, what happened?
The last episode of the Mystery Box, The Fourth Tenor, it was from 2002, and we were shocked that there was a pre-9/11 movie. So, Bartek, you've got to...
Did I say 96 or 97?
97. Fucking me, is it in between? Is it in the mid-90s?
It is.
Oh,
You're fucking kidding me that this has to be when they were doing Babylon 5.
I was technically the closest. It was 1993.
Oh.
I was
fuck.
4 years off. You were 5 years off.
1993, this piece of...
When we were born.
Well, not Reese, but yeah, us.
I'm looking at you when I say that.
Yeah, I know.
Reese, you weren't born yet, so...
No.
You're a 94, baby.
You could have been conceived during when this movie was.
What month was this movie made?
Released. Your parents were banging watching this. Just think about that.
I don't want to think.
They were like, "Yeah, strap me to the bed." Like,
I think you want to go.
I'll be the beach.
And I said we were going
you
too far.
Be the bed.
You brought it back.
Oh, you'll be the bed. You'll be on the bed strapped. He's dad, and then your mum is the beach in the background.
It's suddenly not sexual anymore, but all right.
It's just pathetic.
It's just too.
He's drinking. Reese is drinking from my cup of water. What a prick.
You know what?
I know I might have taken it a bit far there, but not far enough for him to drink from my cup of water. What a crime.
What a crime.
And we're in that point of the episode where we're wrapping things up, and, you know, we will do the old, thank you for listening, Reese, thank you for coming out. Make sure to share this episode with all your friends and family, and rate us on all the podcasting platforms, sites that allow ratings, and... You know, email us at spitandpolished@gmail.com if you have anything you want to say to us. And we're on the social medias, Twitter and Facebook, and Spit and Polish Presents, all that kind of stuff. We'll say that later. Or I suddenly am saying it now. But we're up to that point where we have to escape the room. This room here, we're trapped in this room because of some event that we make up on the fly. And then we have to choose a character from the movie to help us escape. But we're in a tricky situation, Reese. There were no characters in the movie, which is really hard to do. So we are trapped in this room by just the sheer force of the movie's impact on us all. Because, I'm just going to say it, like, you two kind of underselling a little bit of how much you probably don't recommend this, because Bartek, your body language during the movie watching experience was just more and more drained. You were just more and more like head lowering down, just kind of like. And Reese, I had to like go like, look at the movie, because Reese was just glazed over, just looking off somewhere in the distance, and then I'd be like, come back to the movie. And my fiance was distracting me. She was just talking to me, and I'm like, and she's like. And then I was getting angry, and then she was like, are you okay? And I'm like, I just need to focus on this movie, because it's really hard. And you even said, Bartek, that you wish our previous guest for Space Fury, Mark, was here, because he was laser focused on that movie and knew all the details somehow, while we didn't. And we needed him here to give us an analysis. But we're trapped in the room just from the sheer impact of how much of a drag this movie is. And we just have to escape in any method we can. Reese.
Yes.
When you're in a funk like this.
Yes.
When
I'm in a funk, yes.
How do you get out of it?
Rollerblades.
Okay.
You know what? I love that. An emotional problem, physical solution. That's actually really good. I really like that.
And Reese rollerblades out of the room.
You know what's great? Is on the way here, Reese and I were just like, fucking around. We were just messing around, saying dumb stuff. And at one point, I'm like, all right, Reese, say something contradictory, and, like, you couldn't think of anything.
No.
Here, you've, right on the fly, come up with an answer, and it's great.
So Reese put on his rollerblades, and he's rollerblading out of the room. See you, Reese. Bye. I mean, you're leaving us here, but that's fine.
Okay, yep.
He's gone now. Bartek, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling a bit of, the depressive wave hitting you, when you're just feeling like you can't get out of bed, that kind of heavy heart feeling, what do you do to get out of that funk? I know, rollerblades have already been taken.
Literally, physically, they've been taken. I can't use them. Because we were all in the same
but
room.
Metaphorically.
I think about everyone that's in my life that has given me strength.
So me then, okay.
Sorry?
Just me then, okay.
I thought you said me and Ethan. I'm like,
me and my good friend Ethan.
Who's Ethan?
I don't know. Whoever Ethan is, you, the listener.
Hello, Ethan.
There's an Ethan listening to this, and they've just gone, me? That's a lot of responsibility.
You know what? I do include our fans, our listening people.
Ethan, in particular.
I think about everyone that has given me strength in life topped off, of course, by Ethan and you, Ryan. I guess because but Ethan mostly.
We all agree it's mostly Ethan out there. You know you are, Ethan.
You're all great listening Ethans, and it's not a gendered thing. And I used that strength, that power, to just force a laugh out. A ha ha ha, ha ha ha, ha ha ha.
That's several laughs.
And with every ha, I get a little bit stronger, and I can just stand up and, left foot, right foot, just move on. It's hard, but I do it.
Cool.
Ryan, do you have rollerblades or people in your life that can do that for you?
Well, it's always hard because I used to have rollerblades, but then Reese took them. They were mine because Reese is at my house. So
still am.
Well, he rollerbladed back in. Great to hear from you again. And he's rollerbladed out again. Bye, Reese.
I thought you were going to assault him and take him.
No, he's too quick. You can't catch someone on rollerblades.
But I'm still
he's
here.
Back in.
I'm still here.
But
though.
he is still depressed, so maybe that could be an
And now he's out again. Bye, Reese.
You really want me gone?
Oh, and now he's back in again. Hi, Reese. And he's rollerbladed out again.
So you want me gone?
Oh, he's back again. Reese, this is such a conundrum you're putting me in. So,
I haven't come back.
I'm in such a depressive funk that, what do I do in a situation? My rollerblades have been taken. I don't have anyone that is called Ethan that's making me laugh enough, and Bartek doesn't give me any strength. So, what do I do in a situation like this? Say I'm in bed right now, just cuddling up to a pillow in depression, and I'm just sitting there
Where's
going,
your fiancé?
well, she's at work. She's at work.
All right.
She doesn't have to wait for me. And, I'm thinking, God, Rachel could get up here and help me, but she's out on rollerblades. Her and Reese are rollerblading around town.
But
what I'm saying is Rachel and Reese are together now, they're getting married, and I'm just there depressed, and I'm just like, oh boy, if Jesus was Greek, what would I do? But
stop bringing it up. It happened one time.
Does Greek Jesus give you strength?
One time.
Listen to our Land of the Dead episode to understand why we're bringing that up.
No, don't listen to it because I completely shit on.
Hold on, is it called Land of the Living Dead?
Land of the Dead.
It's just Land of the Dead.
Okay, never mind.
And I'm rolling blading out of the room now.
He's out. Reese smells. God.
What? Why?
Oh, he's back in the room. Out with Rachel. So when I'm depressed, I just think to myself, what would Billy D. Williams do in a situation like this? And I think, you know what he would do? He would patiently wait for J.J. Abrams to get off of his ass and finally put Lando in a Star Wars movie. And my method is just waiting for depression to go away, because that's what Billy D. would do.
Are you saying that depression...
And I'm just waiting.
Are you saying that J.J.
Depression
Abrams...
is J.J. Abrams. He gives me depression. Thanks for the Star Trek movies, you fucktard. And
Are they better than this film?
Oh, shit. We've got him. We've got him.
Sorry, maybe
well
I asked
done,
a too hard question.
Well done.
I'm sorry, Ryan.
Ryan, I'll give you my rollerblade.
Am I making
Apparently the depression won't go away. Especially if Bartek provokes it.
I revoke my question.
Well, so thank you guys listening.
What if Jesus was Russian?
Well, he would be a communist, evidently.
The sequel to the Jesus is Greek joke isn't as original.
It's a disaster.
No, it should have been if Judas was Greek. Would he have betrayed? So,
well, at a cross.
Thank you, Reese, for rollerblading in. Bartek, a pleasure as always to see you watching Reese rollerblade in. Rachel, my fiance or ex-fiance, it was nice knowing you, I guess, but you're Reese's now, and she's going to be super proud to hear this. And, I guess, like I said before, people, I subtly inferred it before, but, on the social medias, we're on the platforms of the podcasts, we share it around. We're awesome. We've got content. You should listen to more of it. Rate us, share us, Twitter us, all that, email us, all that cool stuff, Jazz Bro Man. Until next time, I guess. Remember, in the year of 2022, we make contact. Too bad, motherfuckers!
It really was too bad, wasn't
it? It was too...
Oh.
Take issue to being given away.